Self-esteem. Self-esteem, is this on? Self-esteem, self-esteem, self-esteem. Let's talk about self-esteem. Let's talk about self-esteem. Let's talk about what self-esteem means, what self-worth means. Let's talk about the impacts, the influence, the side effects of self-esteem on the person who is going through a self-esteem issue and on the people around them, and the long-term effects on everyone who interacts with them. Self-esteem is the way you see yourself, the way that you value yourself, the way that you think about yourself, what you think about yourself. That is your self-esteem. And these does affect how you connect to others. I remember some times ago, I struggled a lot internally with this particular thing. But on the external, it looked like I was confident. Maybe I could be confident in some areas of my life. But sometimes ago, there were areas of my life that I wasn't confident about. Totally fine. Because of course I was working on that. I was working on those areas that I wasn't confident about. But one thing I really want to tell you about self-esteem is it affects the way that you connect to yourself and the way that you connect to others. So if you do not value yourself, if you do not see yourself as someone who is valuable, or you do not, accord yourself that respect, because if you then have self-esteem issues, chances are you are not respecting and loving yourself enough. So it all starts from self-esteem. And the way that you esteem yourself also impacts the way that you believe and reason and take actions. So if you think of yourself as someone small, someone who cannot make a decision, or someone whose ideas or opinions don't matter, it will affect the thoughts that comes to your mind. I know they sometimes say that action comes from thoughts, but thoughts, the things that you think about, is based on your self-esteem. It's based on how you believe, how you see yourself. Because if you see yourself as someone valuable and someone who is, worthy of respect and worthy of love, you will show up that way. You will show up that way. You will need no validation from nobody. You will need no validation from nobody. You're not waiting on your friend or your parent or anyone to tell you that you're doing fine. You're not second guessing yourself. You're not, other people's opinion on you it doesn't flick you. It doesn't move you, because you already value yourself. You already accepted yourself the way that you are. The good parts of yourself, your flaws, your weaknesses, you already accepted it. And here is my encouragement to you today, if you suffer from self-esteem, is that no one has it all. Nobody has it all. We are all imperfect humans. And indeed, that imperfection is what makes us perfect. There is no perfect human being. So you must have strengths and you must have flaws. You must have weaknesses. That is what completes you. And you know what would even make you feel better about yourself? When you write down your weaknesses, when you write down your strengths, write down your weaknesses as well. And merge with it. Accept it that, I do have these weaknesses. I'm not very organized. Or I'm not very tidy. Or I'm not very patient. Or I'm not this, I'm not that. Accept that. That is happening. That is going on. Accept that as a flaw. The moment of acceptance is actually healing. The moment of acceptance is really healing. When you accept and admit and acknowledge that this is actually there, you begin to feel free and better with yourself. And one of the popular quotes that helps me here, or usually helps me when I feel a certain way about my weaknesses, is that one of the success that you can have in life is knowing what your dysfunctionalism is. So let's break it down to layman language. One of the success that you can have in life is knowing is knowing what your weaknesses are, or knowing what things that, knowing things that can hold you back. In short, your weaknesses, knowing what your weaknesses are, and loving yourself regardless. So that any additional love from your friend, your partner, your colleague, and any other person external to you yourself is an addition. It's an addition because you already love yourself for who you are. And I'm very grateful when I got my diagnosis of neurodiversity and ADHD. It just solved all of the problems. It just made me see the reasons things have been this and things have been that. It just made me realize why I had been taking some actions and why I tend to feel shameful at times. I tend to feel rejectful at times. It just makes me know why some emotions are dominant in myself than others. So tell you what, the moment that you start accepting yourself for who you are, you're birthing. When I mean you're birthing, how you're birthed, your environment, who birthed you, where you lived, how you're raised. The moment you start loving those things about yourself and start loving everything that you never really always liked about yourself, at that moment, you start getting more powerful. You start getting more powerful. So if you are going through self-esteem issues, there are a number of things that could cause that. 3 things. Number 1, your nature. Your nature can naturally make you feel tired, angry, or esteem yourself really small, or not value yourself as much. And what I mean by nature, I'm going straight into the mind. I talk a lot about this, neurodiversity and neurodiverse mind. If you have a neurodiverse mind, in the sense that, you're not easily restful, based on the type of hormones that you produce in the body dominantly. If you have this neurodiverse mind, it means that you will produce some, you would have some attributes. And having these attributes can come with anger. It can come with anxiety. It can come with worry. It can come with frustration. And so these attributes, when you have them, it can naturally make you, not want to like yourself enough. It might want to put you in a situation where you're doubting yourself or where you're feeling shameful of yourself. That is your nature. If you're neurodiverse, that's a nature. That's the nature of your mind, the nature of your brain chemistry. Now, the way that you're nurtured as well can affect your self-esteem. So if you grew up in a home where there was no love and you could not express your emotions, you could not feel free, you were not heard, you were not listened to, you were not attended to, you were not well looked after, this could affect your self-esteem. And the third one after your nature, your nurture, is the knowledge that you acquire. Things that I'm talking about right now, talking about your strengths, talking about the things that makes you feel powerful, talking about your good side and your not so good side, because we all have those sides, isn't it? Knowing all those things, seeking knowledge about all those things can make you feel very powerful. Because the moment that you know the things that are holding you back, you know your values, you know your strengths, your weaknesses, your powers, you know what you need to work on, you know your value system, your belief system. The moment that you know all of these things, the moment that this knowledge is clear to you, you start to feel more powerful. You start to love yourself. You start to feel like you're in control of your own life. Self-esteem kills. It does kill. So if you think that you're suffering from things like that, you don't love yourself enough, you don't value yourself enough, you feel small for some certain reason, this is your cue to remind you that you are powerful just the way you are, with your strengths, your flaws, your shortfalls, or whatever you want to call it. Remind yourself, I am powerful. I'm Shakira Tokewale, international speaker, author, and personal growth coach at Tibetime Coaching. I help people transform their businesses and their life. Reach out. I would like to work with you. Cheers.